it's May 1st today, although we're airing the show on the 4th, I think. Anyway, it's very complicated, and I have a fake co-host here. Andrea Matchett is my fake co-host right now, right, Andrea?
Absolutely.
So how do you like being a fake co-host?
It's a little bit random, but I think I can dig it.
Random.
Yeah.
I love that term, random.
Yep. That's life, though. Life is random.
Yeah.
Throws you all sorts of curveballs. So.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's going to happen in 2012? Speaking of curveballs.
No idea. I'm sure that life is probably going to continue after 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen.
All right.
I'm just going to deal with it when it comes.
One step at a time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, take it one day at a time. Just be the best person. And
Exactly.
Yeah,
Even if a
that you
giant
can possibly
fireball
be.
from outer space comes and smashes into the planet, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No.
You're going to die someday anyway, right?
Yeah, I think it's funny that people, they put so much emphasis on planning. Because, yeah, you just never know. You never, ever know. So it's, okay, well, yeah, that's my dream life. Yeah, well, what about right now? Are you happy right now? What is it, what is it going to take to make you happy right now? Because later might not happen. So, I don't know. It's
About being happy right now.
happy right now. You know what? I am happy actually. Being happy. How do you be happy? Well, a lot of it is attitude. Attitude toward life and things that you're faced with, and I don't know. I think that's the way that you conduct yourself. You can either wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to have a good day, or you can wake up in the morning and say, I'm not going to have a good day whatsoever. Everything's going to go wrong and everything. So, but then, if you set yourself up to have that good day, then you tend to notice the little awesome things that pop out. And yeah, exactly. I think that's the answer. Your happiness is like, if you're looking for it, then it's just it's like the law of attraction, right? So you
I guess so.
kind of.
Okay, great. Well, listen, I call you my fake co-host because Daniel Katz is going to come and co-host for the rest of the show.
All right.
Here today because that was yesterday, which is really going to be.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do in the meantime, I just want to say what we got coming on the show. We got Ray Rivers coming on. He's the author of this book at the end of September. Also, Sean Dalton is going to be here talking about immigration, Canadian immigration policy. And then, of course, we have Johnny Smash is coming in. He's bringing eye candy, Lux, and Prada and Peso from Street Navy. So it's going to be an awesome show. But it's even more awesome because my fake co-host, Andrea, you're going to do a song for us right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
really looking forward to this.
This is on the new album. It's coming out hopefully by August. I'm working on it right now, actually. So this one's called In Limbo, and it's a song about just kind of wanting to stay right where you are, being happy with your own life, and just hoping that it can stay that way. Because as we all know, change is a little bit inevitable. So anyhow, here it is. I have ghosts haunting me to follow me as I wander through my life, never looking back because I'm so tired of what I see, never looking ahead, afraid of what I might find. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. I like it here, wonder why I can't freeze time. Everybody's pushing me to make a move, make a change. Just a pawn in the game of chess. I'm gonna have to move. you believe I'm gonna have to move? Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer. Let's just stay in limbo just a little longer.
Well, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, and Dan is here today. And Dan, you're really liking the sound of your own voice.
I'm humbly grateful to the powers above for this voice.
See, now, when you really get into it, then you just start to become a totally different person.
Yes, hopefully, God, I hope I don't turn into a persona of myself. So,
Well, let's get busy, shall we?
Yes,
We have our
yes.
guest, Ray Rivers, here. And
Yeah.
Ray, great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And
Nice to be here.
How's your voice sounding?
I
It's
don't know. Sounds pretty good.
okay, great. So, anyway, you're the author of this book, The End of
I am.
September.
Yep.
And you do a lot of other stuff
I do.
that we're finding out just
Yep.
before you came on the show today. But
it's an exciting looking book. I'm seeing a firecracker on the front jacket of that book, and that starts a whole.
do you
that can
remember
start right
those?
from there,
Do
I
you
don't know.
remember those firecrackers? The firecracker in the Canada Post mailbox.
That's right.
Right, Ray?
That's right. It was the FLQ.
Those were the
in
good old days.
In the 60s and into the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where were you living at that time?
I was in Toronto area.
Okay. And so now this book is all about the those separatist days in Quebec, or
This book is a historical fiction, so there's a lot of fantasy in it. But it starts off in 1980 when René Lévesque held his first referendum, his only referendum, on Quebec separatism, the Sovereignty Association, he called it. And in the book, as we recall, in 1979, Pierre Trudeau had lost his his last election, and the government had changed. Joe Clark had come in as prime minister for the Conservatives, and he was running had very little support from Quebec. And René Lévesque wanted to get his referendum in while Clark was prime minister because he thought that he had a better chance of winning it. So Trudeau came back. The budget fell in 1979, and Trudeau came back in, became prime minister again, and René Lévesque had the referendum with Trudeau in, and of course Lévesque lost. So in my story, what happens is that Trudeau doesn't come back. Clark doesn't, his government doesn't fall. It continues on. They hold the referendum, and this time the referendum wins. And so the story goes from there, and then we go up to the year 2000, which is when Pierre Trudeau died at the end of September, and thus the title, in 2000. And the story takes place, really, the main story, over the 4 days from his death until his funeral. and all that action happens. What you have is a, without giving it away, because I want people to read it, is a resurgence of the FLQ through that whole period.
You mean after Trudeau dies?
After the referendum in 1980, because the referendum wins, but Canada refuses to negotiate with René Lévesque on sovereignty association, which is what he wanted.
Whoa!
And so the FLQ feels that they have to do whatever.
So this is a real
it's a thriller.
Political intrigue.
It's a political intrigue. It's a thriller. It's meant to make people think about an issue that's really important and it's germane today.
Well, yeah.
Bring us back to, if I may jump back to before the setting of your story, which may have inspired you a little bit. I'm not sure. I was a kid, but in the '60s, where that chap was an MP was kidnapped and he was unfortunately killed.
Yep.
That kind of suspense and intensity is maybe without. I haven't even read the book, so it might be infused in there, I guess.
It's very much, and there is history that does talk about that whole period, about the early days of the FLQ. In the book, the FLQ is reconstructed. It comes back again because what we recall is that in October 1970, the FLQ crisis hit Canada.
Right.
Pierre Trudeau was Prime Minister, and he introduced the War Measures Act, brought the army into Montreal.
That's right.
And he was criticized for that by some people, but also applauded by everybody. There was the House of Parliament unanimously supported him going in with the War Measures Act. And they got rid of the organization, the FLQ. It's one of the success stories in terms of looking at terrorist organizations, that it didn't linger on like it did in so many other places. Well, it was extinguished.
I don't want to digress too much, but just for 1 second, what caused them to do what they did, the FLQ back then? Like here in your story, I'm trying to make a connection. There was a situation where the referendum did succeed, and the negotiation did not work out or something, and then the FLQ decided to step in and cause trouble. What caused what was the trouble that caused the FLQ to go into action and cause the unfortunate passing of
in the first place? Well, there were a couple things. One is that Quebec came out of a long sleep, and the book does talk about that. The history part of the book talks a bit about that, because Quebec was in this long sleep where the Catholic Church was predominant in the lives of all Quebecers, and they very much were taught to not really be very rabble-rousing kind of people.
Right.
But they had this whole liberalism that happened with Jean Lesage back in the early 60s.
Oh, I
and
see.
part of that, coming out of that, was also this sense of awareness. It was the 60s.
Yeah, it was the 60s, too. I mean, they were bombs in mailboxes all over the world.
And in the States, you had the huge marches on the against the war in Vietnam.
Kent State, the whole thing.
The whole 60s uprising, the free love era,
and
all
in
that
France
stuff.
too. There was riots in France. The youth
Absolutely.
were
so it just timed in with everything else.
But the FLQ in those days was a very hardline organization. It was bent on creating a socialist, communist enterprise in Quebec and taking over the lives of Quebecers that way. It had been trained by the Palestine Liberation Organization, which at that time was a terrorist organization, long before it changed. So it was pretty hard line. There were links to the Russian KGB, and some suspect even the French Foreign Legion had some linkages in there. So there was a lot of...
Paul Rose, didn't he go to Cuba after
the... Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're on top of this.
And he's on top of everything.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah. If they took over, were they into complete francophonism or something? Like everything had to be in French or something? Or
well, it wasn't strictly the original FLQ wasn't strictly a language or cultural thing. It was more to do with economic systems, financial enterprise. So they were a real rebellious organization that was looking to change Quebec into a modern socialist state.
Which brings us back to this. It was they stepped in because of just the friction that was going on without giving the story away, or am I giving?
No, you're not giving the story. So in my book, what happens is that when the referendum, when Lévesque wins the referendum in 1980, he comes to Canada, to the rest of Canada, and says, I would like to negotiate sovereignty association. But the government at the time says, we're not going to do that. We don't think that it's a legitimate referendum. We're questioning what you mean by sovereignty association. Do people even understand it? Some of the questions that came up in the 1995 referendum.
Right.
And sorry, who's the Prime Minister in the book at the time?
Joe Clark.
Joe Clark
Yeah.
does not want to negotiate sovereignty
Will
association.
Will
Because-
not be allowed to negotiate.
Because his argument is that even though the people voted in the referendum, they didn't know what they were voting for, I guess,
Yeah.
according to Clark.
Yeah.
They were voting for a whole other bill of goods.
We still don't really understand what was meant by sovereignty association,
yeah.
So there were a lot of reasons why Canada would not just automatically jump on and start to negotiate independence for a province based on a referendum.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what happens is then you have a period of conflict that happens from then until the year 2000, and it's that conflict is underlying, and in 2000 it comes to a head. So if you want to think about it as another October 1970 crisis that happens in the period in Trudeau's passing rather than in his living.
Boy, it's interesting to think what might have happened if that referendum had gone the other way.
Exactly.
And even the last one was the one in the 90s was
Squeaker.
so close. I remember it was just we came this close to losing the country.
And I think that's the story. I mean, the story, what kept us from losing the country was the love. I think when we had all of those people and people across the country expressing their love for Quebec, I think that's what allowed us to actually win that referendum.
Well, hold on. There could be one other little thing called money. It's that the economy on Quebec. Sorry, did I get the economy in Quebec? Is strength. Its strength is we all knew as inclusive with the other provinces. It's a whole nother entity to the Eurozone or whatever, in trade or whatever, with this tenuous new currency for Quebec or whatever they're going to do, or maybe they're going to use the same currency, but it was a separate country, and people's stocks and people's investments may just drop because of the change.
No question. Absolutely. I mean, sure, that's absolutely true. But I think fundamentally that there's something about nationalism, about patriotism, where people, it's the emotional thing as opposed to just the money. I mean, I'm absolutely right about the money.
Yeah.
But I think that people also feel strongly about it. I think when people saw that they were wanting to be part of Canada.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is we go through a period where we have this passion that we show, and then we kind of let it lie. Think of it as a marriage. I mean, a partnership. Provinces within this federation are kind of like a marriage, the English and French Canada, in a sense. And if you ignore them, if you let it, if you don't pay attention, that marriage might start to get weakened. And I think that's what happened, and that's what continues to happen over the period. So writing the book.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I wanted to write the book was because I feel very strongly that we need to continue to have an ongoing expression of our national unity, of our desire to keep Quebec as a fully functioning partner. And I think that's what Quebecers want.
It's like a marriage.
Well, go ahead. Sure.
Let me hear my argument.
I'm listening,
I didn't say that
Dan.
right. But if we have our plays back and forth here, if marriage, someone told me, it has no arguments and says, "Oh, we never argue," the marriage doesn't last at all. If there is this friction going on, but you talk it out, these are perfect marriages. And so this is what this is.
I think that's absolutely insightful. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's my view of it anyway.
Except I think Quebec might want an open marriage.
Well, there are differences, and I but I think in the end it comes down to an expression of being an equal partner in the federation. So it's really important when we have, today we have a government that has very little support from Quebec.
Yeah.
So putting it into modern political terms, I think we have to be particularly careful that we do not affront Quebecers on some things that are really key. Now, let me give you an example. One of those was we renamed the military royal, and few things rile Quebecers more, I think, than the sense of regal, authority or coming back to Britain.
Right.
The whole sense of independence is very, very important to Quebecers.
Yeah. And do you ever get the sense that the government, maybe the current government, is really not interested in keeping the country together?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but
Okay.
I think as in a marriage, you can sometimes neglect, and I would think it's more a case of neglect and omission rather than deliberately going out to not care about keeping the country together. I mean, they did do things earlier. There was this whole declaration of Quebec being a nation.
Yeah.
So I think there was really an intent to try to do that. But I mean, there are these other things that are happening. Well, the Bloc Québécois is gone. A lot of people are saying, well, we don't have to worry about Quebec independence anymore. It's gone. I don't think that's true. I think all we've really had is a brief moment.
Yeah.
And we need to capture in that moment the things that will make Quebec understand that there is a new place for it in Canada.
Well, I think I agree. There's, the whole thing could arise again at any moment. You've got that whole PQ political structure in place that could instantly become the BQ at a federal level or some kind of equivalent.
Some little small storm can turn into a hurricane.
Well, I mean,
I've seen it in the weather.
Well, we
report.
saw it with Lucien Bouchard. I mean, where did that come from?
it's been explained to me that about a third of Quebecers have always been wanting to see an independent Quebec, independent and sovereign from the rest of Canada. About a third really would like to see Quebec continue to be a partner in a Canadian federation where it's an equal partner. And the other third probably have other and more important things to do in their lives and don't think about nationalism so much in Quebec. So I think it's if we can convince that other third that Canada's in their best interests in the United Canada.
Is there something somewhere that? Two questions. Is there something somewhere that makes Quebec? It's agreed that it's a unique in its culture that satisfies some of the Quebecers. Like, it's almost saying that they're separate, but yet they're part of one. That there's a certain uniqueness in the culture, and that the rest of Canada respects that. Or is there some clause that says that, or no, not really?
Not really.
Okay.
Not in the Constitution per se. And I think one of the reasons, I mean, Levesque, as you know, didn't when he was Prime Minister in Canada's Constitution, which has all been in the news because of the 30 years of the Charter. But one of the reasons he didn't sign that was because he had come in on a separatist platform, on a sovereignist platform, and he couldn't possibly sign the Constitution no matter almost what was in it.
Right.
But clearly, some recognition of Quebec's special role as a cultural identity that is different than that of the rest of Canada.
My other question is, it's not exactly real time, but it's pretty close. 4 days in a book. Books span years, a story, or even beyond that. So you did it the story is in 4 days. To me, that's sort of like real time. So it's like one of Dostoevsky's one of the top books. I think the Karamazov brothers. I'm not even saying that right.
Karamazov.
Thank you so much. There is the Mr. Inform right there. One of his better books, and it seems like it really works. What inspired you to do the 4 days?
Well, it's a period in which Trudeau's passing
from
to
there,
his
okay.
funeral
Yeah.
is the 4 days, and Trudeau, of course, features through the book. The book's actually dedicated to both Trudeau and René Lévesque, because I think that they both played a huge part in keeping Canada together up until today.
They were like two dancing partners.
Well,
we were all watching the dance.
I think what Lévesque did was Lévesque convinced Quebecers after the fall of the FLQ, after it had been ground to the ground, that they didn't need to use armed insurrection to get what they wanted from the union with Canada. And I think it was the way he brought in, because he was a tremendously political liberal, and he brought in, and I'd use liberal in the general sense, and he brought in that sense that you can achieve what you want through political means and the ballot box. And
and he was a true Democrat.
He was.
He totally respected
Absolutely.
the results of the referendum.
And many, and I mean, a lot of the people that I know in Quebec, they have nothing but praise for Lévesque for all the other good things. he did.
You may not agree. One may not agree with Lévesque, but he's a very likable guy, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And he had wonderful, friendly discussions with Trudeau. I think it went on. Like they would debate
Well, they
with
used
each
to work
other.
together, didn't they? Or
They
something?
Debate
debated.
with
They never.
But-
I don't think they ever really got along.
Oh,
I think
okay, okay.
they were always on the other ends of the debate. They always had disagreements, huge disagreements. And Trudeau was, I recall, there was a number of labor issues and other things
Oh, I
which
see.
Trudeau was also involved in, and there were some major disagreements between them. But and of course they disagreed through the whole period when Levesque was premier and
Mm-hmm.
Trudeau was prime minister. So.
Hey Ray, listen, you got the book here, and I know you want to read a passage.
do.
And let's could you do that for us?
Sure.
We'll have to
Let me-
sink our teeth into this.
Okay, let me do a little passage. This is near the end of the book. It's actually on the day of the funeral, and it's happening in Montreal. The book, by the way, is set in Ottawa and Montreal. So this is from Ottawa. It's called the Basilica. The dignitaries had started arriving for the funeral, and the security officers were already all over the streets fronting on and around the Basilica. RCMP officers had closed and were diverting traffic from Rue Notre Dame, which fronted the Basilica. Fortunately for the mourners, clear skies and a brilliant October sunshine took some of the sadness out of the air on this solemn day and facilitated the tasks of the officials responsible to make sure everything went to plan. The mourners were mostly congregating on the lawn in Place d'Armes, the famous park opposite the Basilica. They had arrived in taxis or cars, which they had to park several blocks away. Some were looking at the old church, admiring its magnificent architecture. Others were reminiscing about those good old Trudeau days, chatting niceties to one another and allowing time for the various security services to do their job in preparation for the funeral service. The RCMP were re-examining the old church building for the third time in the last 2 days to reassure themselves that they had not missed anything. They had set up rope lines to accommodate processions later that day and to ensure that their security net would prevent any known terrorists from entering the old church to cause havoc. Place d'Armes has been called the cradle of Montreal history. A statue of Paul de Chaumery, Sieur de Maisonneuve, and founder of the city of Montreal dominate this public place, which is set out in the tradition of the great European city squares. The Chaumery statue had been erected in 1895, replacing a bust of King George III. American invaders during the U.S. Revolutionary War of Independence had decapitated the statue, but it had decided to finally replace it after angry British residents further vandalized it on the pronouncement of the 1774 Quebec Act, which gave new powers of self-government to French Canadians. Today there was a human angel at de Maisonneuve's metal right hand, in the middle of the public square, just beneath his image. She was an impressive figure of a woman in a glorious full-length red gown and wearing a stunning red fur fox jacket. Standing on an old milk crate, she rose above the other visitors to the park, hidden by her long skirt, and the milk crate was a red plastic 4-liter jerry can. And beside her was a large sign about the size of a sheet of Bristol board with blood-red handwriting on a white background. La société juste commence avec la liberté. She stood quietly, mostly ignoring the people gathering in the square, but only a blind man could have missed her presence. Still, few people took the time to glance at her or the sign by her side. Even the police officers, who were abnormally cautious this day, were leaving her alone. She was neither panhandling nor begging, and no one would have suspected her to be a security threat, given her magnificent appearance. Perhaps the authorities just imagined her to be a flamboyant Trudeau supporter coming to pay her last respects. After all, Trudeau had loved flamboyant ladies. All of a sudden she began to sing without accompaniment in a voice that obviously had seen vocal training, where she could be clearly heard even above the din of the chatting crowd. As she sang, she throttled her words in the style of the great Edith Piaf. Except she wasn't singing about the streets of Paris. Her words had been taken from the famous Gilles Vignon song, Mon Pays. Canada's National Film Board had commissioned the song for the film La Neige a fondu sur le Manicouagan in 1964. Its moving imagery about wintertime in Quebec and the brotherhood of Québécois evoked powerful emotions among Canadians, Québécois in particular. It had been taken by the early FLQ as their theme song, although Vigneault denied that had ever been his intention. Mon pays, ce n'est pas un pays, c'est l'hiver. Her powerful, angelic voice carried across the square, and the crowd gathered around her, watching as if hypnotized by this beautiful woman and her compelling vocal instrument. She finished the song, then pulled out her cell phone from her jacket pocket and speed-dialed a number. Once it had been answered, she began speaking loud enough for the crowd to hear. Allô, mon chéri. You have loved me more than I deserve, and I will take the memories of our times together with me wherever I go. Monsieur Trudeau, please wait for me. Neither of us found true justice in our lifetimes, but maybe we will in the afterlife. Adieu, mon amour. Please do not mourn for me. I have no regrets. She closed the phone and dropped it to the ground. 2 policemen from the crowd control detail, who had been watching her intently, started to approach her, but she gestured for them to stay back. Then this elegant woman in the long, gorgeous red gown and fox jacket lifted her hands to the sky and broke into a version of the greatest of all of Piaf's songs. Non, je ne regrette rien, she belted out before the crowd of mourners, who had now fallen completely silent. She would have made Piaf proud with her vocal efforts, singing a cappella, as she invited the crowd of mourners in front of her into her soul. Her eyes and her sad smile had found a way into their hearts such that nobody wanted to stop gazing. The crowd had become completely spellbound as they watched this elegant woman in silence and listened to her every lyric. Even Anglophones who possessed no comprehension of the French language found themselves fighting back the inevitable tears which would be expected of them later on this most emotional day. The first verse was followed by the refrain, and then, almost as if it were part of the song, she lifted the red can hidden by the milk crate and tipped it over her shoulders and onto herself. The crowd could now smell gasoline fumes and began to stir, breaking their earlier trance, but still not dispersing. The police clearly were now ill at ease and wanting to approach her, though they were unsure exactly how to proceed. Finally, she stopped them in their tracks by pulling out a barbecue lighter from somewhere and pointing it at them. Then she turned the lighter on herself and clicked the trigger. Her dress and jacket burst into flames as if on cue to accompany her singing out of the last refrain. She must now have been in pain, but this amazing chanteuse continued with her song, never missing a word, and powerfully driving home the lyrics, even as she was being forced to the ground in a ball of flames. The crowd, which now included everyone in the square, might have applauded, except for the horror of it all. Everything had happened so quickly that they just stood there in stunned silence. In the distance, the sound of the fire engines could be heard screaming as if they were adding their own harmonies to accompany this gifted vocalist in her magnificent swan song. There was nothing the police could do but watch and wait for the firemen to come and extinguish the last of the flames, which were now just taking their last licks of her body. Someone had passed a fire extinguisher to one of the policemen, but by the time he could get near enough to use it, there was no longer any point. She was gone. Before long, the mourners started to move into the church, and the hearse carrying Trudeau arrived, amid firemen, policemen, ashes, and the remains of a makeshift sign. About 3,000 people attended the service in the basilica, and several thousand more stood outside. The choir sang. The archbishop gave the invocation. The eulogies were delivered. Finally, everyone sang O Canada, and Trudeau was laid to rest in his beloved Montreal. There was a lot of music sung that day, but nobody attending the funeral would ever forget the words of the poignant chanson recorded by Edith Piaf in 1960. She had dedicated the song to the French Foreign Legion, and it has come to represent liberation and freedom ever since that time. I have nothing to regret.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, sounds good. Sounds well written.
Thank you.
Which is, well, I won't name names, but
Well, I hope you enjoy it, and I will give you this copy as well, Dan. So
now you're doing a book launch.
got a book launch in Burlington, May the 6th, Sunday. This is coming Sunday at 2 to 4 in the one of my favorite independent bookstores, A Different Drummer, on Locust Street in Burlington, and they have a website. You can just go for A Different Drummer, and you'll find out where it is. And we'd love to see you out there, 2 to 4. I've got some music playing. Good friends of mine, John and Sheila Ludgate, are bringing their instruments and giving us a little entertainment.
What day is that on? I'm sorry.
It's Sunday the 6th. Yeah, I'd love to see you out there. Come on out.
No, are they going to be doing material that's somehow complementary to the book?
John suggested that they might do something, not necessarily with the book, but in terms of literature, because they're going to be in a lovely setting. A Different Drummer is a wonderful place to launch a book. It's a nice little, very compact.
Are you familiar with Page's Bookstore when it was here on Queen Street in Toronto?
Yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah.
This place?
Pretty much. Yeah.
No,
not very big though. Not as big.
No, it's Berlin. Okay.
So is the book just newly out?
The book's just newly out. It's on e-reader. So all of the e-reader locations have a copy of it. So you can go to Sony, iTunes, Kindle, Barnes and Noble,
and get it on your little electronic reading device.
And you can go to Amazon.ca and you can order it there, and it's available from Amazon as well. And it's in Different Drummer. It's in Brian Prince in Hamilton, another independent bookseller. Book City here in Toronto has got copies. And I'm going to be doing another signing at Chapters in Burlington in about a month.
Now, are you? Is this your first book?
I've written a lot of nonfiction most of my
Okay.
life.
Yeah.
But this is my first novel,
Okay,
and
so
I'm really excited about it.
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And it sounds like it's really exciting. The story sounds.
I know when
sounds-
she brought out that can, I went, "Oh no!" As soon as I heard that, I said, "Oh, this is where it's going." Oh no! Poetic but disastrous. Yeah.
Well, as a you know, the writing's got to be different these days. Like, did you publish this yourself, or
Yeah.
And
It's.
did you try?
I wanted to get it out. I went and talked to a couple of publishers, and they said it's a nice idea, but it's tough
We're-
out there.
but
in the
we're
publishing
busy.
world. Yeah, but
We're
we're
busy.
That's right.
We-
It's tough out there in the publishing world, and it takes a long time to actually take a book through the whole publication process.
Yeah.
If you go with a regular publisher, you could be 1.5 to 2 years before you get a book through.
Plus, this way you get to keep more of the money, right?
Absolutely right.
Why a year or two before the book goes through just the processing?
They
of
just
it?
have processes and
Oh, I
procedures,
see.
and whether it's Clell Stewart or whoever, it takes a while to get the book through that process.
But it almost seems like you don't need to do that.
No, you
anymore.
don't. No, people self-publish all the time now,
Yeah,
and
an old friend of mine from previous life, Mark Twain, had one of his books was self-published. I think before, I don't know if it was
Yeah.
Huckleberry Finn or what, and then it was picked up later.
I mean, it's a pain because you have to distribute it yourself. You got
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
it out there. You got to put it out, and you got to
Yeah.
market it yourself. But I have a wonderful publicist to
Yeah.
help me with the marketing, and that's really great. Mary Ellen's just been wonderful, and it's kind of nice because you're kind of responsible for all the bits and pieces of it. You put it out there, but it's not for everybody. My next book, I'm working on one now. It's called The Draft Dodger. It's about ultimately it's about the Middle East, but it has stories that harken back from the 60s when people came to Canada as a refuge from the Vietnam War, the draft
Yeah.
of the Vietnam War in the United States.
Yeah.
So it takes us back there over to the Iraq War, and then it ultimately deals with Middle East conflict. And that's in process. I wrote a play about that first, a radio play, and so I've moved it now into a book form because I think it's a really good story, and I think people will enjoy hearing about it.
And is it also in a Canadian story? Because
Yeah, it's set in Toronto.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like doing things. The other reason I self-published is, of course, there are publishers in the U.S. that, particularly the vanity publishers, who are interested in taking the book and publishing it. But this is a Canadian book. It's about
Yeah.
Canadian story, and it's
Yeah.
I just feel that you ought to have it printed and published in Canada.
Yeah. Plus, would they even be interested down there? They
Well,
don't
the-
even know about any of that stuff that we all went through.
It's a story. I've had a few inquiries about a screenplay because it makes for a good action movie.
And it seems, since it is so Canadian, I would think the CBC would want to speak to you or have you on one of their shows at some
I sure
point.
hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so May the 6th, that's this Sunday in Burlington. And then are you going to be doing anything in Toronto?
I haven't got that organized yet,
Okay.
but lots of time. A lot of things are happening, and I'm also doing a play at the Hamilton Fringe this year. So I'm directing, producing, having written it, and acting in it, and so I've got that on my schedule.
Well, you better
as well.
tell us what it's called.
It's
so we
called
can
The
look forward-
Cooking Show. The Cooking Show, and it's it's
wow.
very funny. This book is very serious. Excuse me. This book is very serious. The play is extremely funny, and it's a spoof on the Food Network.
Okay.
So
that would
so
be.
And that's at the Hamilton Fringe.
it's at the Hamilton Fringe, which will be running the last 2 weeks of July.
All right. You're gonna bring it to Toronto
One
at
of
some
4
point,
locations.
too?
Well, I'm actually thinking about it. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out in Hamilton
Okay.
before
Oh,
we.
Sounds like
what
fun.
is that time with the Fringe Festival in Toronto, the Hamilton Fringe?
The Toronto Fringe is just before it. I was
Okay.
in the Toronto Fringe in 2010.
Well, Ray, this has been great to have
Yeah.
this conversation, and looking forward to reading the book. If people want to get in touch with you, maybe to buy the book, or maybe they want to just talk to you about the plays or anything, is there a website or something where
There
they can get in
is.
touch?
The book has its own website. It's called The End of September, www.theendofseptember.com. And you can reach me directly as rayzrivers@gmail.com. And I look forward to communications, absolutely.
Okay.
Or you can Google, and you can get me that way too.
All right. Okay, Ray.
Thank
great
you.
Great to do this. Thanks for coming in today.
Great. Thank you very much for
And
having
there's
me.
there's the
Enjoy
book.
the book.
There you
The
go,
End
yeah.
of September. That's what it
Yeah.
looks like, and go out and add this to your Canadian culture
I'll try
collection.
to.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back with more Liquid Lunch right after this. Welcome back to the show. Here, it's me, Hugh. Dan is here, and we are now. By the way, the music today is oh, they are called
Thank you.
what? No, that's not it. It's just. No, that's not it. Put it down. Pull the Winamp down. It's right there. Light Sweet Crude. Light Sweet Crude. I used to play in a band with the guitar player from Light Sweet Crude. Believe it or not, Dan Katz.
And who are they? What? Yeah.
That's the music that we heard.
Oh, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they are. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So we got Sean Dalton here. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How's it going?
Good.
I hear you have a fabulous new editor.
I do, absolutely. She's incredible. She's more enthusiastic about the project than I am. So it's really good having someone that motivated. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, she's going to hopefully help me put this in my research in a chronological order, so we can write a book.
All right. So is that what we're talking about today? Your most recent research? I know you handed me the information here, but I haven't had a chance to read it. But
well, it's okay. It's we can, if you want to go over each point, we can open the discussion because it helps me. Like, I know what the research is. I just brought it to keep an orderly, so we have some kind of chronology to go by.
Okay, well, before we get into that, like, what's the main theme of your writing here? What are you trying to express?
I'm trying to explain to the Canadian public how our immigration system used to be really well run, how it used to be fantastically great, and then how it went off the rails because of what Brian Mulroney did in the 80s.
What did he do?
He tried hijacking it for partisan purposes. He tried using immigration for an ethnic vote bank instead of for the economic benefit of the Canadian citizens. And that created lots of poverty because he quadrupled the intake over a 4-year period. And
you mean quadrupled the annual intake of immigrants?
He did, absolutely.
From what to what?
From about 84,000 to 250,000 people.
Okay.
And that's not even including what happened later in the 90s, all the phony refugee claims, all the people coming in through family reunification.
Yeah.
Canada doesn't create all these jobs, so many jobs that it would fill the needs of all these.
Well, of course, the real unemployment rate is
it's probably high.
It's not good.
Can I just play on something that, even though I don't know anything?
Absolutely, please.
Something from the news. You hear this interview with a calm voice of Brian Mulroney that he was. That I guess the understanding was there weren't enough baby production of people in Canada as there are in other countries to bring people up to fill up professional positions, and there were some very able people from the outside, like engineers or whatever from other countries, that can help fill in the void that a lot of Canadians won't fill, and that turns out to be totally bogus, I guess. Is that what you're...
The thing was, before Mulroney, immigration was based on the Manpower and Unemployment Index. So, say the economy expanded, they would bring in a little more people. Say the economy contracted, they would, decrease the amount. It was almost perfect, and it never harmed the native labor market of the Canadians. Canadians' wages were not affected by the Manpower Employment Index. It was almost the perfect system. So even if people came in, people were still being taken in under, say, 32% were coming in. They were able to speak English or have an education, which was a pretty high percentage.
Right.
By 1991, it had fallen to 17%, and then 15% and 13% later in the 2000s. So we're taking in people for a 1902 factory farming economy, whereas we've transitioned to a knowledge information economy where you need to know how to speak English.
Yeah.
You need to have some kind of education, so you need to be able to sell your skills to an employer. Right. And you need to do that in 3 interviews if you want a good life or a decent job.
Right.
You know, taking people in for partisan purposes is a form of discrimination. It marginalizes people, and multicultural policies ensure that some people's tribal tendencies keep them as they were.
Yeah.
So some people's cultures destroyed the countries they came from. Helping them recreate those environments it's not really helpful to them. Like not telling them how a democracy works or how Canada operates. Some manners, some explain how the system works in Canada. Giving people cultural capital would really help people get a toehold in the country and help them give back and make a contribution to overall society.
So I think you sent me a link, did you not, to an episode of Studio 2 or whatever that Steve Paikin show is.
Oh, yeah, The Agenda.
Oh, The Agenda,
yes.
Where they were, that was the topic, was immigration.
Absolutely.
Actually, I knew one of the panelists.
Benoit Thomas? Or?
Yeah, Benoit. Yeah. And
I know him too. I've sent him my research.
He's been on the show a few times, and but what they were talking about was that the current government is making a lot of changes, apparently, to the immigration policy. Now, I mean, what's your take on what the current Harper government is doing to immigration?
I think it's fantastic. What he did was recently he refunded $160 million in fees and returned people to those fees to the 280,000 applicants who were before 2008 who were intended to come here. Now we have 1.4 million people unemployed in the country. It makes sense to gauge people for things like, and new Canadians will be assessed for A, the English language or French, people speak one of our languages, and B, they'll have a job waiting for them when they come here. So you won't get doctors driving taxis, which has been going on for the last couple of years. It's been a disgrace. I mean, people who have ended up, I even met a guy at the Toronto Public Library, Young and Bloor. He said he did 2 to 3 operations a day. He's here to just learn and earn, but he didn't stay here. You know, he was rich back in India, and he was horrified to come here and find himself in the situation that he ended up, and he felt lied to, and he was lied to.
Yeah, he was lied to because the economy is not. In the old days, when we were building the country, there was lots of opportunity, and people also. You know, I have a little bit of a problem. I don't know if they changed this, but where they would give people who were rich or wealthy a more favorable treatment to come to the country. Like if you had money, you would have an easier time of coming to the country.
Because you'd have more time to either go back to school
or whatever. Maybe they thought it was good for the economy, but all it does is drive up house prices.
Absolutely.
And
I see what you're saying.
And there's no need for that. You know, when you're actually doing some work, you're actually building the country.
Absolutely. I looked into that actually.
If you don't, then what are you doing?
Average price of a house in Toronto, $456,000.
Yeah,
Average price of a house in parts of Alberta is about $800,000. First-time home buyers cannot afford these houses. They have to live on the suburbs or on the outskirts.
And this is in fact what they're saying now is that, and we had a discussion on Liquid Lunch a few weeks ago, that what's happened is that now the government has been trying to cool the housing market down through making it, just tightening up the rules and so forth, but it's really hasn't had much of an effect.
I found out through research that the housing market is 30% of our entire economy. So out of the $1 trillion Canadian economy, it's worth about $300 billion. So that creates I understand it creates lots of jobs for people who build the house, but you can't bring people in if there's no jobs for them available, and to have them doing jobs they hate. They end up taking kids' jobs. I mean, I saw the paper man one day in my neighborhood. It used to be the paper boy. Yeah. That's a job kids do. I used to help my friend deliver papers. We would use the money to rent video games from Video Flicks down the road, or order pizza, or go to a movie. It was things that kids did with extra money. It was never meant for a 45, 50-year-old adult to deliver.
Well, it's I mean, there's just
that's what's happening.
The economy is not good, and there's a lot of people that are just underemployed or unemployed, and the real figure is hidden under whatever kind of statistic bafflegab that is put out by Stats Canada to try to keep everybody happy.
The worst part is you go on the bus and subway, and all you hear is Mandarin, German, Spanish, Urdu, Hindi, really loud. You can't read your book. You can't make friends. They can't understand you, and you can't understand them. And a lot of these people are miserable. They're living in, they want to contribute, they want to become part of Canadian society, but the government is telling them, keep living life the way you have. We're a multicultural country, and that marginalizes people.
Well,
in fact, there's 5,000 people working in Leamington, Ontario, picking tomatoes in a greenhouse, and the chief officer of the police who, polices that area, him and his lieutenants, they're actually learning Spanish. I mean, they reverse assimilated. These people, and the head of CIBC Bank is sponsored that program. It was his idea, and I accused him in my book of being a hypocrite because it's somehow okay for this guy to learn English and get a job at the CIBC as a teller, even though he's from Mexico. Yet his community will never learn English because the police are being trained how to speak Mexican. They're being, when you're a tomato picker, if you want to move out of that, you have to learn English and get an education and try to. One day, maybe you have a dream of something else, right? But how can you do that if you're picking tomatoes and you're being encouraged to retain your Hispanic, heritage by continually speaking Mexican, never learning the English language?
Well, I think we've, and we've talked too about this, Sean, before. Is that when you're talking about immigration, we've got to be very careful to not cross the line. We want to take people into the country. We want to have people to help build a country, but I think we do want to say, this is the country, and this is how it operates, and we'd love for you to be a part of it, and so come and join us. But don't come here, I think is what you're saying, don't come here and expect that you can not blend into Canadian society because we're trying to have a country here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We're trying to have a country.
So I call it cultural capital. Like, give people an idea of how the country works. The government should be encouraging people to, read a little bit of history. Even give people a free book on Canadian history. On,
we got one
all
right
the
here.
goods and the bads about it. You know?
We just got one in our previous interview.
To tell people that we just didn't appear out of nowhere, that it took quite a while to build this country up. And if you come here, here's how it happened. And
I've got two questions here. There's the chap that you met that's a medical doctor. He was
a surgeon. He was
a surgeon.
Yeah.
And chances are medical school back in wherever he was from, India or wherever, is just as qualified by all means as anything here. Yet the medical profession or the whatever association, the medical colleges of whatever, won't accept him because they don't recognize his university.
That's because Canada has its own standards. Like, every country is different in the medical profession. Like, the States is even different from Canada in certain aspects. Like, it's similar to Canada, but India is different from Canada and the States.
Okay, so they got to be very strict with the standards.
They don't have psychic surgery.
No.
It's not covered under OHIP.
Right.
Also, some practitioners in India are using the technology to gauge whether or not the fetus of the unborn child is a girl or a boy. Yeah. And if it's a girl, they'll abort it.
And there was a article that some of that practice is
absolutely
in Canada now.
In the States, it's even spilling over from communities, from migrants who come from India who believe that having a boy will, make the name of the family. It's an honor thing. So a girl is looked at as less appealing. So they're finding out ahead of time if it's going to be a girl, and if it is, they tend to abort it.
But getting back to the guy with the medical, and this is serious what you just discussed, I don't want to ignore that, but getting back to the medical guy, does he have to go through the whole 4 years of medical school? I mean, it's got to be a better way to, like, the guy spent 7 years probably to get to be that surgeon. It's a tricky situation. I can understand that they want to make sure no one dies on an operating table because of a surgeon that didn't meet the standards, supposedly, of whatever they do here. But there's got to be an easier way.
Well, now they're going to assess people for, they're going to make sure people know English and have a job offer. So they'll have a piece of paper saying, okay, this employer has offered this person a job. When people get here, not only will they be able to understand the rest of Canadians, they'll be able to contribute meaningfully in a sincere way and do the things they love to do that they're passionate about. So that should increase the success rate, right? I mean, when people do what they love to do, they're happy. They're not miserable. They're not, doing things they hate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at what the government is doing now at immigration. You're saying it's a good thing. Is it like
it's also kind of cruel too, because before we used to take in a certain amount of people on the man-employer index, and you'd have all kinds of people who would change ideas, like maybe they'd be writers or artists. You'd have more of an unknown. You could have upside. Maybe you'd have the next Olympic figure skater like Patrick Chan or someone, or a great sprinter that contribute to Canadian society and be one of the heroes of the future. You would take an unknown, like it's almost like taking clay and then not knowing what you're going to make with it, right? Now one of the problems with what Harper's doing is he's specifically selecting. It's almost like it takes the fun out of it. Like, you don't know what you're going to get when you take in a bunch of people under the point system in a small amount.
So you're saying the point system is better than this system that they're doing now?
The point system is worse because it doesn't guarantee that people will work in their field, because their qualifications might not even compare to Canadian standards. Like, some countries, a degree is only worth a high school diploma in Canada. Like, there've been studies done by Fraser Institute and several organizations that evaluate educational criteria, and it's determined that some degrees are only equivalent to a high school Canadian diploma, because our education system is one of the best in the world. And that's one of the other reasons you brought up the medical problem with doctors coming here not having their credentials recognized. Canada has a very good medical system. People spend years and years and years acquiring their degrees and certifications, and a lot of people don't even pass. Like, some doctors never even make it. It's a very hard thing. So, that should hold water too. That should hold some weight, that people who become doctors here are very qualified. They're very intelligent. They've had to go through, they've had to stay up all night for months on end to. I met a girl once who was studying to be a doctor at a bar or whatever in the night, and she said this was one of her only times when she was allowed to, get away from her studies. Like, she was swamped. She told me how hard it was, and
Okay, so I'm a little unclear, though, about how you feel about what the Harper government is doing.
It's good and it's bad. Like one of the bad things about it is the guest worker program. I don't think we need to bring in guest workers when we have 1.4 million people out of work and 600,000 people out of work right here in Ontario.
But here's what the business community is going to say. They're going to say, well, we can't, Canadians won't work for that, the amount of money that they're paying guest workers, and therefore they can't get the labor from Canadians, and Canadians are going to say, well, I don't want to work for that low wage.
Student unemployment rate's 15 to 20%, and as you said earlier, it's probably a lot higher. Hire a Canadian student.
Yeah.
Make them work on the farm. I worked on a farm before in the summer, and it's really hard work. And I learned a lot about life. This guy wakes up at 5 in the morning, and he doesn't go to sleep till midnight. He's up all day. I had to lift bales.
Do you know what those guest workers are getting paid by any chance? I'm just curious.
The government provides some of the income, so that's the problem. They're really making $6-7 an hour or $5 an hour, but the government's chipping in to subsidize it, right? Why are we subsidizing jobs that Canadians can do? We're perfectly qualified young people who have nothing better to do in the summer. Let them flip burgers or serve fries or work in the factory.
So what I'm saying is that the business community is going to be a little bit critical about
absolutely
getting rid of the guest worker policy, but also there's going to be Canadians that are going to say, I think you'd have to say, well, we're going to get rid of minimum wage. Just let the market pay whatever it's worth, right? And then unemployment will find its natural level. But of course, you're going to get a lot of people saying, no, we can't lower our minimum wage.
The reason the Americans don't complain about the Mexican migrant illegals is because they work in Tyson food factories, like the meat factories. They work on the farms for whatever the Americans are willing to pay, and they just exploit them. And that's why they don't complain about it, because that's cheap labor. Mm-hmm. So, no, of course the business community is not going to complain about the guest worker program. They get cheap labor, and they have shareholders, so they want to maximize profits every 3 months. I mean, they're pressured by the institutional investors, which are the teachers' pension plan, the investment arm of the Canada pension plan, which has billions in assets. That's where the pressure is coming from, and we never see it because it's invisible. They vote on the shares. They could fire. They could fire the CEO and the board of directors if they're not maximizing profits. That's their goal. That's the way our society is now. It's been a 20-year process from 1970 to 1990. The money from the pension funds is now in the hands of the institutional investors, the money managers, the pension fund managers, and they put the pressure on the government to do this. And the workers end up bearing the brunt of this, of the realities. Okay, you get a degree or diploma, you want to sell it in the labor market, but now that the labor market's flooded with people, there's 18.7 million people in the labor market.
Hey, even Margaret Wente wrote an article in the Globe the other day about how the being a professional, whether that's a doctor or a lawyer, is not even going to give you the kind of expectations that 20, 30, 40 years ago you would have gotten.
Yeah, and that's because our labor force between 2002 and 2010 tripled from 6.5 million, that's between 19 and 64 of ages, to 18.7 million. And the unemployment rate went from 520,000 people to 1.4 million in the same time period.
Okay.
So we don't have a labor shortage. In fact, we need to try to find ways to get the unemployed people back to work, or else they're going to be a burden on our society, and they're not going to feel so good either. They're going to be psychologically depressed. Who wants to sit around and do nothing? People want to be productive, and there should be the government should encourage people to find what they want to do in life and find a way to get them into the fields where they're going to be not only happy but be able to make a meaningful contribution.
Now, Sean, we don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to I want you to make your final point or points, or do you have I know you're working on something. This is going to be a book eventually.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, what are you doing? Are you blogging this stuff, or?
I've emailed it to all the unions. And told them to make mass immigration an issue when they, negotiate with the government or when they vote in federal elections, because it depresses the wages. That it's like a pizza. You have 2 people eating it, each of you can get half, right? But if there's 20 people eating it, some people aren't even going to get a slice, right? So it divides the economic pie into several fractions. And as you said before, it's harder to be a professional these days and get the money you used to make 20 years ago because of mass immigration. It depresses wages.
Okay, all right. So, Sean, if people want to maybe get in touch, maybe they want to share something with you, or maybe they want to find out more, or just get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can email me at sean@endoffees.ca.
Sean and that's SHAWN, right? Sean at endoffees.ca. Dan, any final thoughts?
Just that my jaws dropped open on some things. It's interesting. It's something that can be discussed further and further. I'm just a little afraid of what's going on with this pressure, like you say, the pressure on the government to maximize the profits of whatever, because the pensions are being under control of the money market people or whatever.
Why don't you guys carry this conversation on after the show, because we got to go.
All right.
So, thanks, Dan. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks for inviting me on your show.
And we will see you all tomorrow for more Liquid Lunch right here on ThrivingLive.com. See you then. Okay, go to the music.
Just drop pace off, I'm about to take off. Hey, yo, Wes, I'm about to go run a little errand on the block right now, you know? Alright, my nigga, just hit me up on the Blackberry, let me know what's poppin'. Alright, man, holla. Alright, my nigga. Bless. Yo. Hey, yo, just all I do is stay focused, looking straight forward at the world and beyond. I feel people pulling me down. I feel some pulling me up. I can't get stuck. I just keep moving forward.
Yasus Afari, you know that guy?
No. Is he a top poet in Toronto?
No, he's
Is
like
he a teacher?
he's like a Rasta
Muslim guy?
Yeah.
Rasta
you know that
philosopher?
He's on YouTube, right?
Yeah, he was on the show.
Oh, wicked.
too.
Oh, this guy, I think I've seen him before on your show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
I have watched your show, actually. I have.
Yeah.
There you go. Of course you did.
Cool. Are we on?
Riley. Yeah, we're on.
They never know said that H money.
Hello.
They never know said that top
$100
class.
billers.
They never know the $100 bill at them. They never know. They never know.
From 13, the niggas getting lot of cream. From 14, the nigga posted on the scene. From 15, the nigga got a lot of weight. From 16, the nigga in the trap all night. From 17, the nigga got a 17. From 18, the nigga cleared the whole scene. From 19, the nigga buying diamonds. From 20, you know you cannot find him. My name be Elo, $100 bill of team. And all we do is trap, niggas stack a lot of cream.
It's Johnny Smash. I'm in Barrie. You don't know, H Money Records. It's me, A&R, and head of marketing. H Money Records, 44 Esser Road, Barrie. Guess what happened? I'm from Toronto. I know people in Toronto. I need my friends up here. So what we're doing is May 4th is a Friday, and every Friday after that, we're going to have Friendly Fridays. It's a meet and greet, barbecue, hot dog, bring the kids, we got a basketball net, etc. Models are hired for that day. It's a gal thing. Actually, the first edition is called Ladies First Edition to get everybody up here to entice them. So what we're going to do, we're just going to walk through the studio one little time real quick because this is a surprise video. We're going to catch the CEOs and some people there. So move with me. What it is right now, you're into the studio lounge. You have your couch, your Xbox, your TV. We'll move right over here. We're still under construction. We're a young company, but, you know, it's a one-stop shop. This is just one building that we have. This is your band session room. You have a booth in there. We have a next room in the back where you can actually take the band and practice in the recording booth. So it's H Money Records, as you know. We're going to keep it moving. The thing is, on Fridays, don't forget, it's Friendly Fridays, a.k.a. F Around Fridays, the toys. So we're in the studio now, as you can see. You don't know. Simple things, right? Right, you don't know. So this is where you will record, you get to go in the booth. If you're an artist, we want to hear you. You get to F around. It's Friendly Fridays though, so come here. Right? This is my office. Yeah. This is my office, check it out. This is one of our young CEOs, and he's also a rapper. He's talking about Basel Life. That's going to be May 18th and 19th. But right now, it's about Friendly Fridays. Every Friday, come in. We're friendly. Remember, a.k.a. F around Fridays, because you get to F around with the toys. But a.k.a. don't F around Fridays, because it's Friendly Fridays. So if you get out of hand, we'll ask you kindly to leave, because we want to keep it friendly. You done know, it's Johnny Smash, the girls them bet, the man them tread. It's all about the artists, okay? Come see me. I'm A&R now, I can sign you. We got the best promotions. You know how Smash does it. I don't need to talk no more. Friendly Fridays is launching May 4th. Come see us. Do you like what you see? Do you want to work with us? We work with all independent companies. You keep your name, you keep your own identity. We just want to see if we can help you, you can help us. H Money Records, when money stop make, we stop make money. President said to say, it's rebel music. That's it, let me see it.
Welcome back to Liquid Lunch. I can't believe what's happening here, but Johnny Smash has become my new co-host. So
yes, I am in the house today, and I'm your co-host. But obviously, I'm a friend with benefits. CANDII's here. How you doing, CANDII Lux?
I'm good.
One of Toronto's top models that needs to be out there right now, and she appeared on the show previously.
I know.
So welcome,
it's great
CANDII.
to have her back.
We'll also like to welcome Street Navy.
Hey,
who are rap artists here in the T-Dot.
Yeah, Prada and Peso. Great to meet you guys and have you on the show.
It's wonderful.
So, Johnny Smash, you got a lot to talk about here today. Like, what's
usual?
What's with this? I heard you got appointed to some kind of what is it?
Position in life?
Something like that.
A&R.
A&R. Okay.
And for all those who don't know, A&R stands for Artists and Repertoire. I'm also the head of marketing for H Money Records, which is located in 44 Esser Road in Barrie. The key to the argument is this, Hugh.
previously, as underground artists, what happens is that you go to perform at a show and you need other people in the industry to come out and look at you. In Toronto, guess what? There is no A&Rs out there to sign people and to bring
Because they're
artists.
busy.
Well, you know what? There's great artists out there, such as great
there are.
Canadian artists we've had previously on
I
the
know.
show, as you know, and we always go hard. So now I'm in the position to help people, to sign people. It's a great company. The best thing about their company is when you go to school, you're taught to embrace technology. And the great thing about H Money, even though it doesn't have to do anything with technology, is that they embrace the future. Because I'm a little bit older now, so I always tell people, if you get the old man dancing, you're in good shoes, because I was there when the original hip-hop came, with the Houdini, with the Run DMC, etc., etc. But at the same time, too, I also have to look at other people to tell me what's good, what's the new trend. And H Money has that grasp, and they're trendsetters. So he's able, because there's one president, we call him H. H Money stands for hard money. That hard money, when you're outside freezing your things off and you're getting that money, you know you got to do a job, you got to get the money. That's what H Money stands for, hard money. So we respect where we're coming from. He has a vision in the future, and his slogan is, it's not hip-hop, it's not reggae, it's not R&B, it's rebel music. H Money Records to the world.
Rebel music.
Rebel music. It's
right.
a new era.
So you are the A&R guy.
Which stands for artist
so
and
you're,
repertoire.
you're that
Face of the
guy
company,
that everybody
signs
needs
to talk to.
come to their
That's right.
event in Toronto.
Yes.
Okay.
And to sign artists to record contracts and get them out there and use publicity to get them. Oh, I got to give a big shout out, because even though we're talking about H Money Records, I have some good news for those people to know that Johnny Smash is working hard. Shout out to Man Cave Records in New York, Queens. Shout out to Yvette. We're doing some business right now. Miss Sherry's on her way this weekend, so you done know. Shout out to Man Cave Records. Check them out, and Man Cave Media. You done know.
Okay.
Right.
Man Cave Media.
Right.
So this A&R role that you're doing, is that where you found Prada and Peso from Street Navy today?
Prada and Peso were already involved. Actually, Prada has a great story, because he has a really tight bond with one of her managers. He got into a little incident. He was in a little bit of danger. She saved him that day. He can let you know.
Can we hear the story?
Yes.
Prada, what happened?
Yeah, it's actually a crazy story. I was back in high school. I got into an altercation with another boy, and I actually got stabbed in the conflict that happened. And one of my managers at H Money Records, Samantha Mojan, she actually saved my life. She was actually the one that actually introduced me to H Money Records, and it's just been history from there. So it's actually an outlet for me to just give the people my story. And
so it's real. It's very real, and
it's
it's what
very
we
real.
love. And there's stories out there to be captured in this great city of Toronto, and there's excellent artists, and I just love the liberty, and I love the vibes. Are you guys Wealthy Boys Entertainment? Because I heard you giving a shout out to Wealthy Boys, because when I look on the H Money roster, I see $100 billers and I see Wealthy Boys.
Right.
Now, I work for the company,
Right.
so I know a little, but I don't know a lot. Please explain to the public, who is Wealthy Boys, and what do you got to say about $100 billers? Because I know they go hard.
Wealthy Boys is actually a brand.
Right.
I'm actually believe in the philosophy of, being a wealthy boy, and not actually having material money, but actually having that talent and actually making yourself wealthy with your talent. You know
On
what
the
I mean?
inside. Wealthy from the inside.
From the
Right.
inside,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and acquiring whatever the universe has to offer. You know what I mean? So,
Well,
yeah,
My hat's off to you, because that's a real man there.
that's right.
Peso, what do you have to say? What is your vision of where your music's going to be in a couple of years, or what do you try to convey to the general public?
Me, I'm Peso, so Peso just stands for itself, and wealthy, we live the wealthy way, and we just do rebel music. So
Right.
if you understand what Peso and the wealthy and the rebel stands for, it just brings hunger. Just all about hunger and trying to find somewhere to be better off, because we didn't come from good.
Right. Well, we're going to see the some of your music because we're going to watch the
later
video
on.
at the end.
Actually, so
But-
are you? Go ahead, you.
Well, I got a question, Johnny
Yeah,
Smash. I know you got a lot of questions too, but I just want to ask you guys because you're talking about this wealthy philosophy,
Definitely.
whatever, and that's in the largest sense of what wealthy is.
Definitely.
Could you just tell a little bit about what that is? And as you said, Peso, you don't come from that, right? It was so you had to
Right.
kind of develop it on your inside. I'm just
That's right.
interested in what that means.
Well, I grew up on Jane Street. You know what I mean, just blocks away. You know what I mean, from the hardest Canadian. You know what I mean, one of the hardest Canadian neighborhoods. You know what I mean. I grew up in Chalk Farm, so you know my parents you know tried their best to give me, you know, a solid ground, but it's just really up to us to just give the people our talent, you know what I mean, and you know, any way possible, you know what I mean, any outlook, you know what I mean. I work with the youths, in the community, and it's all about just trying to get your music out there.
So when you're, you know, for other kids that are younger today, growing up from that same kind of environment,
Right.
like what would you?
Smash!
Whoa, Johnny Smash!
He's in the
He's in the
house.
house.
Definitely,
Word.
most definitely.
That's a blessing.
That's just to tell you the nature of what's going on right
powers.
now. You know what I mean?
So what is going on, or what would you tell kids today that are growing up from that same environment?
I would just tell kids right now, you know what I mean? It's just be wealthy inside, you know what I mean? Money, cars, and all that type of stuff will eventually come, you know what I mean? But it's all about taking your talent and just making yourself wealthy, you know what I mean, with that talent. And I'm talking about from the inside out. I'm talking about girls that feel ugly make them feel pretty inside, and boys that feel stupid feel smart and you know, good about themselves.
Yeah.
Wealthy
Okay.
boys.
Now, Johnny
Girls.
Smash, you said that we just had an incident here in the studio,
Right.
But you said that that's a sign that there's something big going on,
Right.
Most definitely.
Right. Well, actually, the reason why I intervened a little while ago, because Street Navy's here. They have a connection with H Money, and H Money's actually doing a show on Victoria Day long weekend. Now, with this show, it's a charity show, fashion show, and music extravaganza. It's at 52 Morrow Road in Barrie, and it's at a place called Georgian Manor Banquet Hall, and it's a great grandeur venue. And the key to it is that it's a Basel life, like as Prada said. We live the life, but we still uphold values. So this show actually has proceeds going to single mothers, and H Money is a big single mother supporter. His whole vision is to have his shows injected into the community to help single mothers, because what he found out is that when he looked around and the people in his community and other places around him, that there was a lot of single mothers, and they're great. And mothers, keep it up, because you got a lot of jobs to do. Keep up the good work to all single mothers. Johnny Smash and Hugh Riley sends their love and respect.
Thank you, Johnny Smash.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the Victoria Day weekend show.
Right, that's Basel Life. It's a fashion show and music extravaganza. Large show, Hugh. G Wonder is on the show. As you know, G Wonder was #2 in the charts. We actually had T Major on the show before with Shay Grant. She'll also be performing Miss Sherry. And the big star that they're bringing is Isis, which is a Toronto artist who's actually a reggae artist who's actually working with artists in Jamaica. So he's bringing Canada on an international level. He just did a track with a reggae star called Da Vinci. But again, underground rules, because right now, from H Money Records, the group is called New Sound Creation, is an acronym, NSC, and they're the fastest rising reggae group in the world, and they represent Jamaica's former capital, Spanish Town, Jamaica. If you say NSC, you have to say Spanish Town, okay? And this consists of Naga, and they make up NSC, and they're hot. They're on a new rhythm right now. So big up NSC, and they'll be also at the show, and that's May 18th and 19th.
In Barrie.
Yes, in Barrie.
Oh,
Just
2
head
days?
north.
2 days? 2
Yeah,
days?
2 days. It's a 2-day event, Fun in the Sun. They're giving away $1,500 in prizes because they're good to the community. It's for, as I said, single mothers, DJ Oliver, DJ Cranky, Journey Sound, Mystic Sound. It's a Bashment thing. It's a Basel thing. Dress to impress, please.
No, are you expecting people to come up from Toronto?
Oh
for that
yeah,
show?
Barrie actually has one of the greatest rates for hotel. You get like Monte Carlo in for no more than $57.
Yeah.
So it's already transportation, hotels reserved for that weekend. It is the long weekend getaway. The locations at a major intersection is Basel Life. You have to be there.
That's great.
If you're not there, I
Plus,
don't know.
you can go to the beach.
There you go.
During the
the
day,
lake is
right?
right there.
Absolutely.
And actually, our record company is just 2 minutes away from the beach.
Fabulous.
It's on Esser Road. Yeah, and actually, what's going to happen is H Money Records is having an open house this Friday, May the 4th, and iCandy Lux will be there. Hi, iCandy. Thank you for sitting
gonna
there
be there
so quietly.
on May 4th. What's going on? What do you? Yeah. What are you doing these days?
I'm all over. I'm busy. I've been doing my thing. Calendars here, music videos.
So
I'm
what are
going
you
to be in New York soon.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to be there for about a month.
That's
so,
exciting.
Yeah, Toronto's going to miss me.
Now, what are you doing May 4th?
I'm going to be signing autographs, meeting people, stuff, all that. Letting people know who I am.
Right, because
Now,
she's to be known. She's eye candy. Look at her. She's eye candy.
So, Johnny Smash, where is this event on May 4th?
It's at 44 Esser Road in Barrie. H Money Records is a one-stop shop. It's a beautiful place.
It's an open house, yeah.
Yes, we have 2 buildings here. I'm so proud of my company. We have a gorgeous clothing store with all the name brands. Then you have a hair salon. We have a photo room for any models or anybody who's interested in photos with a green screen.
Yeah.
And we go to the other side, the other building, and we have a studio lounge, 2 recording booths, band session room. So what's happening is that we are a grassroots company. We want people to come to see what we're working with, and it's a meet and greet. So it's open house, barbecue, basketball night for the kids. It's a family thing. It's a great thing.
Okay. So what else do we need to talk about here, Johnny
Well,
Smash?
iCandy.
What about me?
I think that you're actually one of the top models in Toronto, and I appreciate your time for coming out here. And we talked previously in private conversation about image, and I see it's very hard working in entertainment. We have to walk a fine line, and we have to convey that message. We heard from Esprada and Peso about what their reflection is on community, but I wanted to ask you, what kind of image do you want to protrude? And is there a message, maybe a personal message, like are you an environmentalist, are you a vegetarian, that you'd like to share with the world, miss?
Well, more than anything, I'm a gay activist. More than anything. Yeah, so yeah, stop being all, like, hateful towards us. And, yeah, I don't know. Right now, I'm just... on the spot. Oh my god, I get all shy every single time I come here. Oh my god.
It's okay. Take your time. We want to hear from you.
My input. I don't know. What was the question again?
What is your image that you'd like to protrude, and is there a personal message that you'd like to share with the world? Because we'd like to get to know iCandy as a person.
Oh, I just don't want to be like the rest of the girls. I want to make heads turn. I don't want to be just the typical look at my booty, look at my body. That's why I may do something sexy, but it's going to be in a different way. I don't want girls to sell their soul just for shine, just for something. So that's why everything that I do is on my own. I don't have someone telling me, yo, you have to do this, you have to do that. I don't want to sell myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. So many girls want to get into the industry, but will do anything for free.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what ruins it for anybody else that's been doing this for 4 or 5 years, which I've been doing it. So I just want to just continue on my path. I mean, continue, and that's why I'm going to New York.
What are you going to be doing down there?
I'm actually be working with Black Men's Magazine.
Excellent.
So I'm their eye candy for the month.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you'll catch that. It's in publication.
And you're going to be at H Money Records this Friday? Great. I feel honored. Okay.
But that's why I'm going to be traveling and leaving. But more than likely, I'm probably going to be going to Miami to live. So...
Oh, we're going to miss you.
Yeah.
You're going to miss me, but I'll be back. I have family
Great.
here.
Maybe we can come down and visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Okay, that
She
sounds
always
like fun.
teases me with all these pics. She has these great pictures on
I love
Facebook
to.
of her food and what she ate in New York and all that. But best of luck to you. I really appreciate the work that you do, and I really appreciate that you are coming out for Friendly Fridays. And I love your photos. Just one question. You talked about the magazine, Black Men's, which I read, and I know a lot of black men read. Anyways, is there anything working for you, like on the big screen? Any movies or anything? Any extras or anything?
There's a movie Concrete coming out. It's
Right.
an actually good movie. It's an independent Toronto Canadian movie.
Oh, excellent.
I'm on The Listener. Have you seen Concrete?
No.
Okay.
But is it a full-length feature film?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's great.
What else have I done? Music videos and Bone Crusher, little things here and there, but nothing too big yet. Oh.
No,
Oh,
you
well,
are
it's
big.
coming.
You're
It's
big.
coming.
It's
You go to
coming.
New York. You go to Miami.
You're on the cusp.
It's exciting.
I think you're big before you actually get there. I think it's destiny.
Well, so I think it's like Prada said. You know, you got to be big on the inside,
Right.
First, right?
Right.
Definitely.
Street Navy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I've been very fortunate just to. The people I work with are. Yeah, they're not just people that are just going to be stuck here in the city. That's my big thing. I want to be international. I don't want to be stuck in Toronto only.
Yeah.
So that's why now it's finally 4 years working off. I'm now in New York now. So I mean, what else could someone ask for?
Well,
Right.
people
Love
get
the
maybe
concept.
maybe get their last chance to see you
Oh, no,
May
I'm-
4th. I'm just in case.
Just in
something big
case you
happens.
have
You
to
never
be
know.
there.
Maybe you'll be
You never know.
picked off
By the
after
way,
to
are you
Europe or
going to be
something.
here back in August?
August.
You
It's a
think
little
so?
too in advance, but probably.
Hopefully.
Probably.
Because I want to do something August 1st, Hugh.
Well, we're. Oh yes, that's my cue. Yes, Johnny Smash. Well, you've got this idea to do a fabulous show.
Yeah, I have a show.
August 1st, and August 1st for a reason, right?
Right. I have an idea for a show, and
Yeah.
it's actually going to happen, and you, Riley, would like to announce it to the world that it will be on thatchannel.com, correct? Yes.
It's going to be on the internet.
Yes, it will be on thatchannel.com.
Well, maybe not thatchannel.com, but
Okay.
we'll work out the details
Okay.
after the show.
Well, what's
Johnny
going to
Smash.
happen is called Run a Boat, and for those who don't know what Run a Boat means, is a Caribbean slang for just basically cooking up a pot, inviting your friends over. It's called Run a Boat. So get the boys over, let's cook up some food. Who cares what's there to cook? Or you get the fish, I'll get the dumplings, you get whatever.
Right.
So it's Run a Boat. Join Johnny Smash as he serves up a Caribbean breakfast cuisine and tackles issues that affect you in the community. So we'll have our Rasta section where we talk about Rastafarism, where it's going, what it means to the community, etc., etc. We'll also have Making a Difference, which is an acronym, MAD, Making a Difference, which talks about a member of our community that makes a difference, probably more than likely a volunteer. In addition to that, we'll also have Weekend Dad, where we'll give away prizes to a weekend father, and we'll have a family court lawyer online to discuss family court issues and baby mama drama.
This is all going to be on your show?
Yes, August 1st,
Wow.
and because it's African Slave Liberation Day, and it's very important to us in the black community, and it's also Simcoe Day, a sort of unknown holiday that we have. Everybody takes it as
Civic
a
holiday, everybody calls it. Now it has a name, right?
But it always had
Okay.
a name, and Simcoe was very instrumental in getting legislation for blacks in this country, and it's not really a big known fact, so we need to learn about our past history and culture, just like Marcus Garvey said.
Okay, so that's August 1st?
Yes.
All right, well, we're looking forward to that.
There you go.
And what else do we need to talk about today, Johnny Smash?
Oh, we have one more thing coming up on Monday. As
Yeah.
you know, I support Canadian artists. So Chill Clothing, which is Canadian Hip Hop is Legit, is sponsoring me. And we're going to be at 374 College, Junjun Restaurants below the Junjun Hotel. It's at College and Board and across from the Fire Hall. Smash for cash, which artists compete for a $100 weekly prize, and there's also a dance, so it's not only about the stage. We have Super Force with Selecta Fat Cat. We also have exclusive sound with Selecta DJ Q. So that's this Monday, May 7th, Smash for Cash. Don't forget artists, you already know, Link Smash. We'd like to thank Hugh Riley, who always gives Toronto people exposure. He has me co-hosting today. I'd like to thank Street Navy. Don't forget, Basel Life, September 18th, 19th.
That's right.
CANDII Lux. Always ever looking beautiful. Thank you for sharing your beliefs and your appearance here today. Check her out Friday, May the 4th
Okay,
in Barrie.
did we give out all the websites for everybody? iCandy, do you have one?
Right now, you could probably follow me on Twitter because my website is just down right now.
Okay, so what do they look up on Twitter?
Okay. At iCandy with 2 eyes.
Okay.
Lux.
All right. And also for Street Navy, you guys got to have some websites or something like that?
Yeah, I actually have a Facebook right now. It's Wealthy Boy Prada. Hit me up. I'll add you right away. Twitter is at whois.. Keep them asking.
All right, that's great. So,
Yeah.
Johnny Smash, this has been fabulous.
It's been great, as usual, Hugh. I love it.
Well, thanks you for coming and bringing your people here today. Great to meet them all, and good to see iCandy again, and good
Yeah.
to see you again, Johnny Smash, like always.
Thank you.
And we're going to play a couple of videos now, right? What are we
Sure.
going to go out with
We'll
here?
go to the Friendly Fridays video, and I think it also has a Basel Life promo into it, and then we'll hit a Street Navy video. Or let's go to the Street Navy video.
Okay, we'll do
people,
Street Navy first.
Yes, because the
And
people want the music.
And then we'll do that other video, and you know what? That's the show, Johnny Smash.
There you go. I love it.
So, yeah.
I
go
gotta
ahead.
tell you something.
Sure.
In the Caribbean, we have a saying when we really like a friend, and they say, "We love you like cook food." Okay? But the Rastas are taking over,
Yeah.
so you can't say that no more. You have to say love you like raw food. Because you
Oh.
have this new raw food
Is that
diet.
what the Rastas do? They go with the raw food?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm just getting you up to the time.
Yeah.
Because I got kids and they bring me up to the time.
All right.
So don't say I love you like cooked food.
Okay.
I love you like raw food. Hugh Riley.
I love you.
Yeah. Y'all know what it is, man. Who never knew that I'd be holding it down for the streets? Little niggas asking for real, people saying it's fake. I used to spit freestyle to make niggas compete. I was in the class by myself, so they saw they defeat. I know Salim and Preston looking down on me. I'm hearing platinum now, saying mission complete. It's so refreshing to hear my voice up on the beat. That's why the docs yelling, AB's the voice of the street. I had a lot of friends, I had to cut them off. Same shit with chicks, I couldn't love them all. I gotta be real till the day I die. Till then I got Pampers and milk to buy. I couldn't live a lie, I'd rather be myself. I'd rather pack it up and drop my rhymes for sale. I'm speaking on behalf of niggas like myself that rose up from the bottom and didn't need no help. People said he hating about the way I roll now. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Upgraded to boss status, shit is up my profile. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Rolling through the hood and Benz and keep me saying, oh wow. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Major moves, all them haters trying to ride the wave now. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Who never knew I retired the crap game? Get my shit straight with a career in the rap game. Ain't shit changed about the kid, it's the same pay. My name's still good in the hood like 2K. Cops still looking through my file like a cocaine. It's okay, I'm still a part of the damn race. Or like Mr. Gingerbread, they just can't catch me. Money too big, so I use it like a barricade. Paying off the bigger head so cops can never build a cage. I run the nut, big boss at a tiny age. Only 19, but I look like I'm 28. Haters trying to follow, but they can't keep up to the pay. The only reason why they hate is cause I am a renegade. And I don't give a fuck about what other people gotta say. Unless we talking money, then we laughing to the fucking bank. Money making general, y'all do this way too broke to rank. People said he hating about the way I roll now. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Upgraded to boss status, shit is up my profile. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Rolling through the hood and Benz and keep me saying, oh wow. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Major moves, all them haters trying to ride the wave now. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now.
Who ever knew that Ray would be the bad guy? Slash you in your face, now that's what I call a baptize. I used to cook crack, sell it all capsized. Now I cap niggas when they don't act they damn size. Which realize or get minimized. In this enterprise, little nigga, I don't work, I just supervise. Swag on supersize, looking like a damn star. Got your girl shotgun and I don't have a damn car. I got a chauffeur now, when a couple gophers now. Go for this, go for that, you on the sofa now. You going to the top and a nigga gotta make it. This money grows on trees and I gotta rake it. If shorty giving it to me, then I gotta take it. It's like a vending machine, the way she gotta shake it. I know you say she your wife, but yo, I gotta naked. You going straight to the top, you staying in the basement.
People said he hating about the way I roll now. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Upgraded to boss status, shit is up my profile. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Rolling through the hood and Benz and keep me saying, oh wow. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now. Major moves, all them haters trying to ride the wave now. From the bottom, so the top's the only place to go now.
Pussy, what do you know about pussy? Huh? This boy. Are you mad? When I was your age, I was carrying buckets on my head. You
Yeah, man, it's Johnny Smash. I'm in Barry. You don't know, H Money Records is me, A&R, and head of marketing, H Money Records, 44 Esser Road, Barry. Guess what happened? I'm from Toronto. I know people in Toronto.
Bye.